Dear friend, welcome to our channel. In series of interpretation of statutes, our topic for today is rule of literal construction. In previous video, we have made video on overview of interpretation of statute, where all type of primary, secondary, and others rule tree was explained, and this is first rule we are taking through this video. So let us see what we are going to cover in this. As you are aware, being law student, there is one major question on this topic in interpretation of statute, which is around 20 marks, and students have to write around 6 to 7 page. And difficulties, it is they find very difficult to get text and material to cover 6 and 7 page in the examinations. So considering this real problem of the law students, we have divided this topic into six subtopic, so that you will have enough stuff on this to make this question in the form of large answer. These are the subtopics we are going to cover. Instead of going, let us go one by one, so that we will understand without further spending our time. What are different name of this rule? This is worth noting slide, because rule of literal construction has many other name or many alternative names, and in examination also it comes with different names. The first name is literal rule, second safety rule of construction, safe rule of construction also, plain reading rule, rule of grammar of interpretation, grammatic rule of interpretation, the safest rule of interpretation. So all these names are all of this rule only, rule of literal construction. You should not be confused in the examination if any other name of this rule is mentioned, and you should not be surprised that you are not aware of it. So all these are same topic. Now we will see what is rule of literal construction. As you know by name, literal construction means literally whatever is written you are understanding based on the grammar and meaning and applying it. This is first principle of interpretation. Whenever any doubt or need of interpretation comes on any law in front of judiciary or even lawyer or advocate, they apply first this rule only. And basis of the rule is that words of an enactment are to be given their ordinary and natural meaning. Means words should be taken in their natural sense or natural meaning. Means, for example, cow, cow, cow. Cow mean cow. No other interpretation. So when there is no ambiguity, you have to go by literal meaning. And further, code is under obligation to expound the law as it exists. Leave the remedy to legislator if harsh conclusion result from such exposition. It means, for example, there is one word bear, bear, bear. The bear is also wearing the cloth, and another bear is the animal. So if such type of conflict come, and in the context of the rule or act, whatever literal meaning is coming, this is the assumption that court should follow that means only, and if it is harsh, they should not modify it. It is ultimately legislator, they should realize their mistake and correct that text by amendment of the legislation, but not the judiciary. This is the assumption. And last one is, code should give technical meaning to the technical words. So those are technical words, they should be understood in the technical meaning only. For example, in electricity there is one technical term, resistance. So resistance is a device when it is applied as any circuit of electricity, it hamper or it impede the flow of current. So that is called resistance in electrical technical way. So whenever any word resistance is coming and it is in technical form, we should not take term resistance as a normal resistance. So this is the meaning of this word here. Technical and scientific words should be taken in respective technical or scientific term only. Now we will see some case law, related case law. Those has helped to establish this rule of literal construction on firm ground. And from exam point of view also, these case law are very important. These case law are stuff or material which help law student to make answer longer. First case is Manmohan Das versus Vishwan Das. You can follow the same pattern what is shown in the screen. First you can write what was the act involved. Second, you can write what was the text in question, and if required you can write fact of the case also. So that will make enough page filling work for the student when responding to the answer in examination. And then what the court held. So in that way, if you will explain the case law, that will be very elaborative. Let us see what was held in this case. So in this case, UP Temporary Control of Rent and Eviction Act 1947 was in question, and fact of the case are like this. In this case, the tenant did some modification on rented house without the permission of landlord. And when landlord came to know, he raised objection and took the matter to court. Then tenant took a plea of this text that though he has materially altered the accommodation, but it did not diminish the value of the building, so he did not committed any offense under the law. Okay, but court say or and are two different thing. Or means before the or any offense, and after the or if anything is violated, any of them is violated, then it is an offense. In this case, since the tenant has materially altered the accommodation, though it has not diminished the value, still it is an offense. And court held that or should not be read as and. So now I hope you will understand that how and or difference has been clarified in this case by court by using this rule of literal construction. Let us go to the next case, Manmohan Tuli versus Delhi municipality. This case onward, I will tell you the fact and I will tell you what was the text in question, and you have to help me what should be the court response. Okay, so this will be very interesting because lies always thinking of men of ordinary prudence, means common men, whatever is think is law actually in general sense. So let us come to the fact of this case. In this case, Delhi Terminal Tax Rule 1958 and Delhi Municipal Corporation Act 1957 were in question, and tax in question was terminal tax applicability for goods vehicle passing through Delhi. So those are from North India, they may be aware that earlier there was no peripheral highway around the Delhi, which is now. Now, if somebody is coming from UP, some truck or goods vehicle is coming from UP and want to go to Haryana or Rajasthan, now because of peripheral road, they need not to enter to Delhi. They can use peripheral road and they can bypass Delhi and go to Haryana or Rajasthan, whatever they want to go. But earlier when there was no this peripheral highway, all the goods vehicle coming from UP and going to Rajasthan and Jaipur, they need to cross Delhi. And while they were crossing Delhi, the municipality was charging terminal tax from them under this act and rule. Now you tell me, when the goods owner and the transport association took this matter to court, since they are not staying and they are not offloading or unloading anything in Delhi, why they should pay the tax? So in your opinion, the tax is applicable to them or not? This is my question. Correct. You are right. So since they are simply passing, they are not unloading or offloading anything, so terminal tax is not applicable to them, and that is what Supreme Court held. So now you understood with this another case law how rule of literal construction is applied in terms sometime taxes in question. Let us see next case. You have to help me in this case also. Bimal Chand versus Gopal Agarwal. Act involved was Section 3 of UP Sale Tax Act 1948. And tax in question was, where tax was fixed at 2% of the turnover payable at all point of sale in the case of cooked food. Means whatever cooked food is being manufactured in any industry or factory and it is being sold, 2% of the sale tax will be applicable. Now you tell me, the question was whether biscuit was a cooked food or not, and whether tax will be applicable to cooked food or not, because this factory was manufacturing biscuit and the sale tax department levied 2% sale tax on them considering biscuit as cooked food. So what is your view, whether tax should be applicable to biscuit or not? Correct. Supreme Court also held the same thing. They say in ordinary parlance or common understanding, biscuit is not cooked food, though it is manufactured in the process of cooking, but it is not a cooked food, and hence no tax is applicable under this act on manufacturing and sales of biscuit. Let us see next one more case. Municipal Board versus STA Rajasthan, State Transport Authority Rajasthan. Act involved was Section 65A of the Motor Vehicle Act 1939. Fact of the case are like this. The STA Rajasthan authority shifted one bus stand from one place to another place. And as per provision of the act, if any bus stand they need to shift, before shifting they need to publish notice for asking any objection application for shifting of that bus stand, and authority did so. Before shifting, before 30 days, they publish notice in newspaper asking for any objection related to shifting of bus stand. However, common public people raise objection after expiry of the 30 days, and they took clear that we raise objection after notice coming into our knowledge, and they raise objection within 30 days after coming into their knowledge. So they are two different things. For example, on 1st January, authority published one notice for asking any observation. So since they publish on 1st January, the duration is only up to 30th of the January. If anybody having any objection, they can raise any application of objection up to 30th January. But here what did party came to know this matter in month of February sometime and raised notice in the end of February. Now you tell me whether court will entertain this plea or not. Yes, think and tell me please. Correct. You are right. So SC Supreme Court also held same thing. They say no gentlemen. You cannot come when you came to know this. Okay? As a awakened citizen, you should be aware of what is happening, and if any objection you have to raise within 13 days from the publish of the notice by authority. We'll see one more last case related to this. MB Joshi versus MB Shimpi AIR 1961. This is very interesting case, and this is related to Food and Adulteration Act. Fact of the case in summary are like this. If any person is doing adulteration to water made from milk, that will be considered offense under this act. That gentleman was caught red-handed by adulteration of butter, and when it was brought to court, they took plea that this act is not applicable to them because they are making butter from curd, not from milk. So since act say butter from milk and we are making butter from curd, this is not applicable to us and we did not committed any offense. Now you tell me friend, now in this scenario what court should do? Making butter by curd and adultering it is offense under this act or not, or what so? Yes, court say in ordinary parlance, water either made from milk or from curd or by any others means it is water and it is offense under this act. I'm sure by this 5 case law, rule of literal construction will be very much clear to you. Advantage of this literal rule is judge need not to put additional efforts. They need not to see other resources. They have to apply grammatical meaning of the words and simply follow or pass the judgment. Disadvantage of this literal rule is sometime when text is not clear and there is ambiguity, if judges are following literally meaning of the word, that may lead to failure of justice, and this happen many time. I need to give any specific example. Many of the accused got free acquitted or discharged from court because of no clarity in the law or no clarity in the word and they cannot interpret beyond this. For example, there was one case in postmortem report of murder. Doctor write that during the examination of wound, we saw the bullet-like article in the body of the deceased. Bullet-like. So they added word like here. Okay, as per their understanding. But then when it was examined in court, the accused, the defense lawyer took plea that this is not exactly bullet proven. This is bullet like thing. So like is a matter of suspicion, and court cannot punish my client because it is not proved. So if we follow literal construction, so there may be miscarriage of justice. So this is one of the disadvantages of this. And exception of this literal rule is when judiciary see that if following literal construction rule there may be miscarriage of justice, then they resort to the next rule of construction like rule of mischief or rule of golden rule of interpretation, which we will be discussing in subsequent video. I'm sure by this all these topics are clear to you and your understanding of rule of literal construction is also clear. In case still you have any doubt, please mark in comment box. I will be happy to reply. Thank you for watching this video till end. Please subscribe to this channel and like this video and also share to your friend to get benefit at the end. Thank you very much.